Okay, moving on in domain 4.6. Now let's go over our different access controls. So access controls are security measures that regulate who or what can view or use resources in a computing environment. So we're going to go over the three major ones here. We also have other ones like rule-based and attribute-based, but the three main ones we're going to talk about is mandatory access control, which we've gone over in this course in previous sections. That's going to enforce access policies based on a need to know. Typically, this is going to be based on security clearance and the data classification that you're allowed access to. So it's not security clearance just isn't enough sometimes. Sometimes within an organization, you'll have programs that meet a security clearance, but then also have an additional need to know that you'll need to get access to. DAC, or discretionary access control. This grants resource owners the discretion to define access to other users. So if I made it, I set the permissions. This is default on Windows. This is also something on Linux as well. Then we have role-based access control. The most common one that's used in most enterprises. It just makes sense, right? If you're in this department, if you're hired for this reason, that's the role and permissions you're going to get. Oh, cool. So more access controls. We have rule-based. So this is access to resources based on a set of rules. This can be very simple, right? This could be as simple as you saying, okay, look, on site, we're only going to let you log in from 08 to 6 p.m. We're also only going to let you log into 2 computers. The 2 computers in the accounting department, we're setting that in Active Directory, that this computer object, only this user can log into it. That's rule-based. Then we have attribute-based. This is where we grant access or deny permissions based on an attribute of that user. Very similar to when you log into our Trepa Tech site. If you've only been enrolled in Security Plus, when you log in, you get granted access to the whole site, but you only get access to that program based on an attribute that we assign to your user account. Some more rules, right? Time of day restrictions. And then, of course, just because we always got to keep talking about it, the principle of least privilege, right? Ensure users only have the essential access rights to perform their duties. Multi-factor authentication. So we're going to have those 3 main factors, right? Oh, let me go back. So the 3 main factors are going to be something you know, something you are, something you have, right? But to just kind of go deeper with the something you are, that's biometric verification. Something you have will be like hard and soft authentication tokens and security keys. And you should always be enabling this, right? So multi-factor authentication should always be used because what's the rule, guys? Never trust, always verify, okay? So here's the major factors. So another one that's come up is somewhere you are, right? That's kind of going our contextual authentication again. But the 3 main ones, something you know, something you created, something that you created as a user that only you should know, something you have, that's something physical, that's getting a code on your phone, a push notification, a smart card security token, then something you are, something you're born with, your biology, that's your fingerprint, your face, iris scans. Then somewhere you are again, that's location-based factors, where your IP is coming from. All right. Now let's go and do our next domain 4.6 quiz. Let's do our check on learning. Okay, so question 1. In the context of multi-factor authentication, which combination represents a secure and commonly used set of authentication factors? So right here is kind of, it's a good question because as long as you have 2 or more factors, that's secure, right? That's good security. So all these are doing 2 out of the 3 or all 3, okay? So that's going to be all the above. Question 2. What is the primary advantage of implementing role-based access control in an organization? That's going to be C, right? To ensure users are granted access rights based on their role within the organization. Question 3. What is the key characteristics of attribute-based access control and ABAC in managing organizational access? So it's going to grant or deny access based on the evaluation of attributes. This is another big kind of principle in Zero Trust as well, right? Where you're going to get granted to specific resources based on attributes we can assign to a user account. This can be done as well in Active Directory. Question 4. What is the primary security benefit of implementing multi-factor authentication in an organization? So obviously, right, we're reducing the risk of unauthorized access. We're protecting ourselves from credential harvesting, any sort of password or user attacks like brute force, dictionary attacks. Question 5. How do time of day restrictions enhance an organization's security posture? So that's going to be B, by restricting user access to system and resources during non-business hours. Essentially, like the point here is that typically data exfiltration, insider threats always occur after hours, right? Because the nature of humans is people are around me, I'm going to get caught. Oh, but when I come in at 12 o'clock suspiciously to do overtime, that's when I'm not going to get caught, right? So it just kind of helps us protect what we know about the human nature of insider threats or people trying to do something malicious on our network. Question 6. What is the primary goal of applying the principle of least privilege in an organization? It's going to be C, to minimize user access rights to the minimum necessary to perform their job functions.